Imagine a gown worn by 19th century aristocrat, lustrous flowing silk. It once turned heads in grand ballroom. Today, it can turn to a pile of shredded pieces at a single touch. What happened? How did one of the strongest materials, silk, become so fragile? This is the mystery at the heart of our research.
This is Design Sciences.
My name is Alina Krotova. I'm a PhD student at the University of Antwerpen, and I work on a multidisciplinary international project, SaveSilk, focused on understanding and preventing a hidden threat to historic silk: degradation induced by metal salts. These salts were added over a century ago to give silk fabrics more weight and thickness, but instead of strengthening it and preserving history, they've turned those garments into sleeping beauties stored in the boxes in museums all over the world. But let's rewind a bit. Textiles have been central to Western Europe economy and culture since the Middle Ages. Fabric wasn't just clothing, it was power, status, identity. By the 19th century, silk was the crown jewel of fashion, but manufacturers wanted more. They soaked silk fabrics in solution of metal salts, bonding inorganic molecules to fibers. This process was called weighting. As a result, thin, light, flowing, slippery fabrics became thicker and stiffer, making it easier to tailor. Moreover, added weight increased their price as textiles were sold by weight at that time. To the eye and hand, it worked beautifully. The fabric gained body, it draped easily, but on a long term, it appears to be a time bomb. Fast forward to today, and museums around the world are watching their 19th century silk literally disintegrate. Gowns, banners, fans, linings gone, often too fragile to even touch. And it's still a mystery what exactly triggers these processes. The project SaveSilk is trying to change that. We're investigating exactly which weighting methods lead to fastest degradation, how these metals interact with silk, what's the role of humidity, light, and chemicals, which preservation treatment can be used to save such silks. In archives and libraries, we find historical recipes of silk weighting that we reproduce in the laboratory and artificially age mock-ups. In the museums, we look for salt-containing silks using X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy, classify types of damage that we see, then analyze silk samples and try to find links in between. Using a range of scientific tools from microscopy to spectroscopy and synchrotron measurements, we can look at artificially aged mock-ups and historical silk on the molecular level. Doing this, we're identifying early warning signs of degradation, and just as importantly, we're experimenting with ways to slow the decay and preserve silk. We're also working closely with museums and conservators to design tools that they can use, simple tests or treatment methods that are grounded in science but practical enough for real-world conservation science. These silks aren't just fabric. They are witness of history. A wedding dress passed down through generations, a ceremonial banner from long-forgotten battle, an embroidered fan carried by someone we'll never meet, but whose taste and touch are still present in the threads. When these objects crumble, we don't just lose textiles. We lose connection. We lose stories. But there's a hopeful part. When chemistry and conservation work together, we can stop that loss. We can preserve these fragile memories for future generations, not in a frozen or artificial way, but in a living, breathing one. Sometimes saving the past means zooming in, looking deeper. all the way down to the tiniest silk fiber and listening to what it's trying to tell us.
Universiteit Antwerpen. Bepaal mee de toekomst.